Okay, so it's February 2026, and I thought I'd make a Master System game collection video. I made one of these about 10 years ago, but I've added quite a lot to my collection since, and I thought it's time that I just sort of dusted it off and made an updated video. So just going to go through some classics in the collection, and I'm just going to work down through the shelf. So Disney's Aladdin, the first Disney collaboration on Master System. There's going to be a few of those coming up. Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Very lucky. This is a reproduction sleeve, but it is the cartridge version of the game, which was quite rare in the UK. And I stumbled across this when I bought this game here, Arcade Smash Hits. Got it home, put the cartridge in the console, and it didn't play Arcade Smash Hits. It just took me through to the built-in Alex Kidd game, or at least I thought it did. It turns out that when I started playing the game, I realised the buttons are inverted. That one was jump and two was punch. It was actually the cartridge version. You can tell because there's a rice ball at the end of the level rather than a burger. So to get Alex Kidd Miracle World as a physical is great, especially with consoles like the Mega SG, which I have. Obviously, there's no built-in game on that. I do have the other Alex Kidd games. Lost Stars is kind of weird. Shinobi is fantastic. It's easily the best Alex Kidd game, in my opinion. We didn't get the BMX game in the UK. Disney's Elf, we didn't get this either. One of the most expensive games in my library. AVGN reviewed this and it really blew up in popularity and value. I got in before that though, so I managed to get a decent price. I had to import it from the States. Alien Syndrome, one of those annoying Master System games that really needs a Master System controller to work. As a lifetime player of the Master System, I will say that I hate the controller. I will use a Mega Drive controller any day. This game requires a Master System controller, so it's a bit of a pig. 2 out of the 3 Asterix games currently in my library, and Astro Warrior is easily my favourite space shooter game, top down. This is a US copy, you can tell, because it only has English on the back. And it's assembled in Mexico as well, which is another good giveaway. How this came to be in the UK, I don't know. I paid very little money for it, and it's one of my favourites. We never got it in the UK as a standalone game that I know of. Back to the Future 2 sucks. Back to the Future 3 sucks, but looks really nice. Bank Panic, low-key one of my favourite games on the console. You guide the bank and you open doors and you shoot bad guys that has to pop up. Really simple. One thing I've noticed with Master System games is that the simpler the game is, the more fun it is. Batman Returns looks cool, plays really well. I just find it weird that you're covered in body armor and it's a one-hit kill at all times. It's just so strange. Battle Outrun, so the first of the Outrun game series appears here, and Bomber Raid is literally just hanging on the edge of the shelf. Going down to shelf 2. Okay, where are we? Bonanza Bros. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I don't mind this game. I think the reviews are kind of harsh with it. AVGN again reviewed the NES version of this, but this is Sony Image Soft to go on to be part of Sony Computer Entertainment PlayStation. Bubble Bobble plays just like the NES version, and California Games is a bit of a cult classic for the Master System. If I remember correctly, I only had this as a cartridge, and I was lucky enough to find someone just selling just the sleeve on eBay. So I was able to do that. I have a lot of reproduction sleeves, like the Alex Kidd is a reproduction sleeve. The main issue I have is actually getting hold of the cases rather than getting the sleeves printed, but that is an original sleeve. Someone was just selling separate. California Games 2. Quite a few people I know are like kind of surprised that that's a thing, but yes, it is. It's there. Champions of Europe, the Euro 92 game. If you're in the UK or Europe, you probably had this, and it sucks. Everyone had it, and it doesn't play well. It's one of 2 infamous, I say soccer, football games on the Master System. Cloudmaster Columns, it's a great game. It's not that exciting, really. Deep Duck Trouble. A later Master System game, say obviously a Disney collaboration. The sequel to the Lucky Dime Caper starring Donald Duck. Lucky Dime Caper, I think, is the better game. This is harder to get, so I'm really proud to have it in my collection. As is this. Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Great graphics, plays really nicely. No music, kind of weird. Dynamite Ducks, another reproduction sleeve. I love this one. You go around kicking like enemies, and you can use like a water pistol and weirdly a flamethrower. Yeah, it's just good fun to play. Sort of scrolling game. Cool down here, F1. That's the licensed F1 game. For this sort of 8-bit sort of style racing game. It's one of the better ones on the console, actually. And then they've got the Fantasy Star games, 1, 2, and The Maze. Fantasy Star 1 and 2, in terms of rarity, they're about equal in this day and age. I prefer the first one, which is actually a bit cheaper as well. I just prefer the music, and that's it. The games are very, very similar. Here's our first Brazilian game. This one's FIFA International Soccer, and you can always tell the Brazilian one's obviously Tech Toys, the distributor in Brazil. If you look at like the top of the geezer's hair there, you can sort of see how poor the printing is. This isn't a reproduction. This is how they came. Technically one of the best football games on the Master System. One player only though. So, okay. It's because it's a Game Gear port, essentially. There's a Flash, Flintstones. Flash is kind of fun. It plays better than Strider, in my opinion, which is going to come up in a bit. GP Rider, motorcycle racing game. It's one of those games that's always 2-player, even if you're only playing on your own. Really fun. It lags like hell on the starting line, though, but there's like 16 AI people on the track. George from Watson, Gauntlet, Ghostbusters. AVGM reviewed this one in 2007, I think. God, a while ago. I gotta be honest, this is low-key one of my favourite sort of games on the console, particularly like non-action games, like strategy games. I just think it's so fun. Yeah, highly recommend it. I mentioned with Bank Panic earlier that there's Bank Panic. The simpler the game is for Master System, I think the better it's going to play. Ghost House is the first of my Hue card, credit card sized games. There you go. It goes in the front of your Master System. You need a Model 1 to do that. Or if you have a Mega SG, you can get the adapter for the Mega SG to play them. Ghouls and Ghosts, great game. I love Ghouls and Ghosts. In my opinion, the Mega Drive version probably is slightly better, but if you only had this, you're fine. You're not missing out. Global Gladiators, Global Defense, Golden Axe Warrior. Okay, it is the Legend of Zelda clone. I haven't researched into this, but I'm fairly confident in saying that it was made as a Zelda clone with a completely different license and IP, and they just changed it for the Western release because it has nothing to do with the first Golden Axe game. Golfomania, Gavalius Valley of Doom, another Zelda clone. This is much cheaper to get if you're looking for a Zelda clone. You can get this for about £10-15. Golden Axe Warrior, I know it said about 28 on the front. I paid 80 for mine. I paid a lot. It was a recent acquisition. It's one of those games I always wanted. It used to always be in the catalogue for the Master System, so I always knew it existed, but just couldn't find one. Now into the great games. None of them are actually particularly great. Great baseball, great football. This is American football. These two are the same. One of them is just a bit more aged than the other one. Great golf. One thing I will say about golf is, again, I think the more simple the game, the better it is. Just going to sort of reframe myself a little bit here. Okay, great volleyball. Yeah, marvellous. And another classic example of Master System box art there. Just what it needs to do, though. It's simple. Hang On. Super Hang On's a lot better. This is obviously the original game. Good fun. Heavyweight Champ. I believe, someone could correct me on this maybe. This in the US was James Buster Douglas Boxing, and we just didn't get the license again. There's a few games on the console we didn't get the license. Impossible Mission, it's not that impossible. Incredible Hulk, Indiana Jones, Last Crusade, sucks. James Bond, this is the only James Bond game release with Timothy Dalton licensed. For what that's worth, it's fine. It plays very similar to the Dragon and Bruce Lee story. Dragon's slightly better in my opinion. James Bond, this is all faded, but this is Jungle Book. For no particular reason, I just don't feel this game compared to the other Disney ones. It's probably my least favourite of the Disney Master System games, of which there are a few. Jurassic Park, I prefer to the Mega Drive version. It's just more vibrant. Clax was the final game to be released officially for the 2600, I believe. It's a Tetris clone. Honestly, it's like Columns. I think Clax is a bit more fun on this console than Columns, so I guess I'd choose that one. Chris's Funhouse. Loved it as a kid on the Game Boy. Either the Game Boy version was much better than this version, or I was just crazy because this game kind of sucks. There's 2 Simpsons games on the console. This is the harder one to get, but it is worth if you can track it down compared to the other one. Lion King. This one came with a lovely pink cartridge, and I remember getting this one brand new for Christmas. So I wanted to live through the era Master System was still being sold in the UK. So there's quite a few of my original games in here. About 20 games on this collection are from my childhood, and the rest have obviously been accumulated since. Lord of the Sword. I've already mentioned Lucky Dawn Caper, Donald Duck. Love this one. Love the soundtrack. Love the gameplay. I prefer it to the Mickey Mouse Castle and Land of Illusion games. In fact, I've just skipped over them, as it turns out. Marksman Shooting, so a light gun game. And then Master Games, Super Monaco GP, Columns World Soccer. Honestly, it's fine. You could probably get all 3 games for less than £10 on eBay, probably combined. But still, it's nice to have it as a compy thing. Master of Darkness. Love that box art. This is what we had instead of Castlevania. It was a Castlevania clone. A bit easier. Some say it's really hard. I personally think it's quite manageable. But we've recently had an unofficial Castlevania port to Master System going around on eBay. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. All joking aside, it's all right. I just wish it had a level skip. Does it have a... No, I don't know. I have to check that. The last few levels are actually really fun when you get to play as a giant robot. The rest of the game is a bit boring. Mortal Kombat, or Monopoly, Mortal Kombat, and again Mortal Kombat. So one of these is my childhood copy, and the other one's a complete, sort of much more better condition copy. Coming down here, Mortal Kombat 2, and then my second Brazilian game, Mortal Kombat 3. This one does allow 2-player, even though it is a Game Gear port again. It's terrible. It's... Honestly, I have it for the memes more than anything, so I'm just readjusting myself. I just wanted to have the complete trilogy on Master System. The more you pay for Master System game, generally the worse it is. New Zealand Story, The Ninja is really hard. Ninja Gaiden. Okay, this is a classic. Lucky to get this one. Very quick story. A guy bought it from a shop on eBay. He ghosted the guy, so he didn't pay for it. The guy in the shop was really pissed off. I asked him what he would sell it for. He said, make me an offer. I did. And I bought a copy, and I believe I paid about 60 quid for that copy. Ninja Gaiden Master System is easier than the NES games, but it's not easy. It's a hard game. It's just easier than the NES version. Outrun, Sega's classic arcade game with the 2-speed Testarossa. Easily the best Outrun game. Outrun 3D. I don't have the 3D glasses. I never did. They're a bit of a rarity in the UK. This version has a 2D mode, which I do appreciate. It's like the standard Outrun, but worse in every other way. So, and you're going to pay a hell of a lot more for this one as well. PGA Tour Golf. Pac-Mania. Love Pac-Mania. My only real nitpick is I always thought that the play area was a bit too zoomed in. The camera's too close. It's hard to sort of get spatial awareness in the game. Penguin Land. And now we come to what is arguably one of the cult classic Master System games. Certainly nowadays, I think it's one of the most famous games on the console, and that is Pit Fighter. Joking, shit fire. Phantasy Star. It's iconic. Again, I think I got in just the right time to get mine. I didn't have this as a child, and just having it now is I'm just glad I did. I try and get the games boxed where I can. I'm not too bothered about the manuals. Sometimes you can double the price just to get a manual, so I'm not particularly phased, to be honest with you. Populous, Prince of Persia, Pro Wrestling, for the memes. Yeah, there's the box art. Truthfully, I don't think this game is nowhere near as bad as people say it is, in my opinion. It's the best wrestling game on this console for what that's worth. Psycho Fox, Psychic World. 1 second. Wrong order. Psychic World you may not have heard of. JRPG. It is a much more affordable version of Phantasy Star. So, if you can't find Phantasy Star, you don't want to pay the really high amounts on eBay these days. Get that. Put and Putter. Okay. My logic for stopping on a golf game is that this is like a crazy golf game, and this one is really fun. I would highly recommend Put and Putter, weirdly. You won't have to pay a whole lot for it as well, so it's a really good one to buy. RC Grand Prix, remote control cars, works really well. It's like marker machines. Rainbow Islands, Rampage, Rampart. Okay, we're going to carry on the recording here. Got Rastan, Rescue Mission. I always love this one. Box art. The guy's face, just amazing. Light gun game. Yeah, just really good fun. Road Rash. If you like the Mega Drive version, again, just like with Gauze and Ghosts, you can't really go wrong with this version. Plays and runs really, really well. Slightly worse than the Mega Drive, but not by much. To Robocop 3, my favourite box art on the cartridge on the console. This was again a bit of a rare game, and it plays just fine. But Robocop vs Terminator is better in every single way. Graphics better, the controls are better, the price is a lot better. Get that one. It's much better. Robocop 3 just. I think its rarity makes it more important. Okay. Rocky. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Another AVGN reviewed game. Looks great. Use a turbo controller and just go through the matches and finish it in 5 minutes. Yeah. Scramble Spirits. Scramble Spirits actually a really fun top-down shooter game. A la sort of 1942. Secret Command. This game is what we had instead of Rambo 2. It's the same game, just with different naming. Probably just because I didn't want to license it in the UK, but it may be because the game came out at a different time. I'm not certain about that. Sega Chess. It's exciting. Sensible Soccer. It's a cool class. If you're a UK early 90s, playing games in the early 90s, you're aware of Sensible Soccer, put it that way. Shanghai Shinobi, all-time classic. Let's love the evil eyes, they go serious. And seriously crap. Barts vs. the Space Mutants, the weaker of the two Simpsons games. This is the one that's the most common of the two. Yeah, I wouldn't go out my way for it. You'd have to, if you're a mega Simpsons fan, get it, but nah. Slapshot, ice hockey, it's fine, it's fun. Sonic 2, one of my favourite games on the console. It's just, in my opinion, it's perfect. It's the best Sonic game, probably for me, probably ever. I know that's not going to be a popular statement. Sonic 2 is not as good, but I always love the sound design. The music works really well. Sonic Chaos on paper would be the best game, but it's not as smooth as the original two games, and it also is way too easy. It just kind of annoys me really how easy the game is. There's just no challenge if you're half decent at platform games. Sonic Spinball. This is going to be a very love-hate game. I do like Sonic Spinball a lot. This port is really good fun. I think it might be a reproduction sleeve. I'm not certain about that. It just looks sharper. I don't know. Space Harrier. Classic. Hard. Laggy at times. Space Harrier 3D. Box art looks really cool. This one isn't great though. You don't have the option to have either a 2D mode like you do an Outrun. So you're either playing it with the 3D glasses or you're playing it blurred. You can play it blurred, but you're going to be playing it blurred. Speedball, Speedball 2, Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man. It's fun. It's quite fun to swing around. And the game has quite a simple plot. It has a set timer and to complete the whole game. And so it does feel like there's a sense of urgency, which isn't that common in games, even today, really. Sports pad football. Yay! This one, it's £1.50, not £150, in case you've just noticed that. You need the sports pad controller to play it properly, so I've never played it because we never got the sports pad controller in the UK. I'm probably not going to import it. Spy vs Spy is my second card game. Cue card. Star Wars. This is a port of the NES version. I just love that front cover. This version, in my opinion, is better than the NES version. If you are playing this on something like the Mega SG or an emulator, you can take advantage of easier pause menus because there's a lot of pause and switch between characters on the game. If you can pause the game easy, it makes it much better. Streets of Rage is fine, but it's one player only, which kind of sucks. The Game Gear version, oddly, is 2-player. There is Streets of Rage 2 on the Master System. It's probably one of the biggest high-profile games I do not have in my collection. Strider 2. I don't like playing either of these games. They feel laggy as hell. In the arcade, it's fine, but on the Master System, I would skip Strider. Super Kickoff is that other football game that if you lived in the UK and you had a Master System, you probably had this. I don't like it. There was Kickoff on the NES, which I also do have, and it's also not very good. Super Monaco GP, Superman, Super Tennis. Now, if you like NES tennis, you like this. They're virtually identical. Oddly, we actually did get this game brand new as well. This is low-key one of my favourite Master System games. I play this a lot. It's probably my most played sports game on the console. I have no idea why. It's not even the best tennis game, really. I just like it. Tasmania is fun, easy. Tell you what, Tennis Ace, I'd say there's a lot of tennis games. And then Terminator. The Terminator, classic. You can beat it in about 12 minutes if you know what you're doing. But it's one of those sort of one, you die once, it's game over. So same with this one, you die once, it's game over, but you will turn the game off before you get to that, in my opinion. This game sucks. I really don't like this one. Honestly, it's probably better than the Mega Drive version on the grounds that they're both really, really shit, but the Mega Drive version, you expect more. That's a low bar. Terminator the arcade game. Really good. Surprisingly, I think this is an all-time great game. I think this is fantastic on the console. Time Soldiers, amazing box art. It's like Ikari Warriors or Secret Command, Rambo 2 we saw earlier. T-Rex tank, rocket launcher. I don't think that's in the game. Not quite like that anyway. Tom and Jerry. I saw this at the cinema, actually, the movie. Wow. Check out the screenshots for the packaging. I kind of like it. Pops. Transbot. It's very similar to R-Type, which was up here. I didn't really look at R-Type. I just skimmed past it. Transbot's a much better game because it's simpler. And as I've already said, the simpler games run better. It's smoother. It's just a more fun experience. Trivial Pursuit Genus Edition. If you're really up in your late 80s trivia, this is the game for you. Ultimate Soccer. One of the hardest soccer games to get on the Master System. It's fine. The presentation's great. The company that made this is Rage. They would go on to make quite a lot of games on the Dreamcast, including the UEFA games. Vigilante, and then we're into FW. Okay, Wanted. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? That is a long title. Probably the longest title on the Master System. Winter Olympics. Hate the controls. Wimbledon 2. I believe these games are relatively different to one another. I think we are, yeah. Wimbledon 2, Wimbledon 1, has a much different view. In fact, it's completely different. No, it's not. They're fairly similar, actually. I'll take that back. Wolfchild, I really thought I'd love this game. And I don't really. It's not really my cup of tea. Wonder Boy is a classic arcade game. Wonder Boy 2. It transitioned to more like an RPG, and then the classic one was Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap. Had a fantastic remake, the .emu remake. It's really good fun. World Class Leaderboard is golf. World Cup Battalion 90, love the presentation, love the music, the layout. As soon as the game starts, it sucks. Tecmo World Cup. Sensible Soccer might be the most technical football game on the Master System. This is the most arcade one. It plays fast, it's smooth. I believe the Tecmo World Cup, I think it was like 92 or 91, was on the NES, and it's basically a port. But I love the presentation and layout of this one. World Cup USA 94, I paid a lot more than I care to admit for it. And it kind of sucks. US Gold, any game made by US Gold is always... buy with caution. World Games is Epics, so like California Games, etc. World Grand Prix, really simple. Nowhere near as technical as the F1 game I mentioned earlier. This one had a track editor. You can make your own tracks. Making your own of anything back then was cool. World Soccer, 8 teams. WWF. Yeah, really... The presentation of the game is kind of fun. The menus and layout, the music is okay. The screenshot seems to be taken from like 1988, weirdly, on the front cover. Recommend it up until you push start in a match and it sucks. Pro Wrestling is better. Xenon 2 is laggy. It tries to do too much for the Master System. Just keep it simple and have a fun game. Easy Revenge, RPG. Zillion and Zillion 2, Tri-Formation Zillion. These are based on, I believe, a Japanese show. We didn't have it here, that, to the best of my knowledge. So it's a licensed IP, but we wouldn't have known that as gamers back in the day. Zula. Fantastic. Just like with Road Rash and Ghouls and Ghosts, it plays very similar to the 16-bit version. You will notice different side by side, but if you had this back in the day, you was perfectly fine. I had to pause the video earlier to get these. I left these up on the shelf. These are the Codemasters Master System games, and these ones had their own cartridges, which is similar to what they did with the J-Cart and the Mega Drive. These don't run on the Mega SG, which is really annoying. Market Machines, though, is a really good fun game. And so's the fantastic Dizzy. There it is. If you ever wanted to play as a giant egg, this is the game for you. It's fun. It's actually fun, all joking aside. Okay, just to finish up, we've got some... my unbox games here. So Alien Syndrome is a duplicate. American Pro Football, I think, is a duplicate. Oh, stand corrected, it's not. Amazing. Ayrton Senna Super Monaco GP2 is not as good as the 16-bit version. Great Basketball is fine. SCI is fine. Great Soccer is... This particular version of Great Soccer is the same as World Soccer. If you had the Hue card version of Great Soccer, it was a completely different game, weirdly. Hang On and Astro Warrior. So I mentioned previously, Astro Warrior only came out as a standalone game in the US, to the best of my knowledge. We got it on a combi car, either this one or with Pit Plot. Joe Montana Football, Laser Ghost, Mercs, Outland Europa, US Gold, so it kind of sucks. Predator 2, top down, fun, spout one-liners from the film as you play it. That's my original copy of Sonic the Hedgehog. Thunderblade is fine, bit laggy, and the Smurfs is fun, and that's 30 minutes. Thanks for watching.